Live from Red Zone Weather in Bruton, Alabama, with meteorologist Spinks Megginson. A tropical weather update starts right now.
Hurricane Francine now on shore in Louisiana. The storm continues to move to the northeast, and as it does so, it's going to pose a tornado risk across our local area in the overnight hours extending into your Thursday. Hope you're having a nice Wednesday evening, and we're hoping that everyone is safe tonight, especially in Louisiana, where the storm has done some damage over the last several hours. Francine now on shore. It made landfall a few hours ago down here near Houma, Louisiana, and the core of the storm is very near the metropolitan area of New Orleans at this point. We've got all the details, including what you can expect right here in Alabama and Northwest Florida on this Wednesday as we go into the overnight hours. Let's go ahead and talk about Francine as the storm stands right now. And the core of the storm is basically at or approaching New Orleans. Right in through here, we're seeing some wind gusts as high as hurricane force in this area. Here's the latest radar loop, and you can see that what's left of the eye wall right in through here really is now limited to the northern side. And so what's happening here, we've got a significant intrusion of dry air into this storm, and that really is a good thing because it kind of helped limit the storm overall in terms of its intensity. And you can see the eye wall was more round in nature, and now pretty much all that's left is that northern component of that eye wall. And in through here, that's where you could have winds in excess of hurricane force over the next few minutes and really over the next few hours as the core, or what's left of the core of Hurricane Francine, continues to move to the northeast. Now, you also see this yellow polygon. That is a tornado watch that's in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. I'm most concerned about these cells developing out here over the Gulf of Mexico because some of those are going to come into southeast Mississippi, of course, continuing into eastern Louisiana, and ultimately, this batch of storms is likely going to move into parts of southwest Alabama and northwest Florida as we go into the overnight hours. And so watching these storms very carefully out over the northern Gulf. Here's some damage. This was sent in by a friend and colleague, Stephen Thomas. Stephen is affiliated with Greer's in Mobile. Greer's, the grocery store chain. They're one of our wonderful Red Zone Weather sponsors, and we certainly appreciate their support. This photo was taken by Matt. Let me make sure I get Matt's name right before I give you the credit here. Matt Finstad sent in this photo. This is from where Francine came on shore in Louisiana, and you're seeing some storm damage, an RV blown over there. And again, this was very near where that core came on shore a few hours ago. Again, that photo comes in from Matt Finstad in Louisiana via Stephen Thomas. And so we certainly want to thank both of them for relaying this image. Here's what you can expect over the next few hours. And again, we're going to be watching these storms coming in from the south. The core of Francine is going to be back over here in Louisiana and Mississippi, coming up just like this, basically paralleling Interstate 59 over here near New Orleans, coming up to Hattiesburg. And again, these storms out on the east side of this are the ones that are going to be problematic, potentially producing a few tornadoes across our local area in South Alabama and Northwest Florida. By the time we get to 8 and 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, much of the action should be to our east, but there still are going to be a few lingering showers and thunderstorms, some of which could be tornadic in nature, especially on the eastern side of our region as we get into your Thursday morning, maybe even the early afternoon hours. But I do think much of this is going to clear out to the east and northeast as we get into the late morning and early afternoon hours. But again, it could be a rough overnight. There could be a few tornadoes across our local area, maybe several tornadoes. And on the low end of things, there may only be one or two. And so I do expect a tornado warning or two overnight at minimum. And so have a way to hear urgent weather warnings. That core of the decaying Hurricane Francine going to continue to basically go up 59, up to Jackson and Meridian here. And again, we could have tornadoes out on the eastern side of that across Alabama and Northwest Florida, not only tonight, but extending into Thursday. Here's a look at the risk zones for tonight. A level 2 out of 5 risk for the southern half of the area, lower end risk farther inland. Tomorrow, the whole thing shifts to the east. And again, along and east of the center of circulation is where we're expecting the greatest issues. Tomorrow, circulation center here, southerly flow off the Gulf of Mexico, level 2 out of 5 tornado risk for parts of East Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. Even on Friday, there may be a few tornadoes off to our east. Peak surge values, greatest in Louisiana, and really those numbers have already happened. Could have up to 2 to 4 feet of storm surge in Mobile Bay. Tropical storm warning continues for Mobile and Baldwin counties. Unfortunately, the total rain amounts have come down. The Weather Prediction Center not really expecting as much rain, and that's because of that dry air intrusion. Now, I also should mention briefly Tropical Depression 7 on the board in the eastern Atlantic. That system going to continue moving to the west across the Atlantic, a few waves in through here as well. And here's your next 7 days. Let me actually step off camera so you can get a better view of the 7-day forecast. And again, the concern overnight into Thursday is going to be the potential for a few tornadoes, and most of those will probably happen closer to the coast, the Alabama and Northwest Florida beaches. Maybe a few lingering severe storms on Friday as well, but overall the coverage should go down pretty dramatically. And over the next few hours, our plan of action is to continue to cover this storm in the Red Zone Weather app as the core of Francine continues moving to the northeast and ultimately taking more of a northerly turn. So the storm is on shore, maximum sustained winds at 75 miles per hour at the time we're doing this live update around 8:30 p.m. Minimum central pressure now up to 980 millibars. That, of course, will continue rising as the storm continues to overall weaken. But I hesitate to use that word because just because the storm overall is weakening, our weather is probably going to get worse overnight with a few tornadoes coming in from the south. So please have a way to hear urgent weather warnings as we continue to track Hurricane Francine. All right, and as we finish up this evening, a live look at the radar. You can see that we do have showers and thunderstorms out over the Gulf of Mexico. We'll zoom in and show you some of those quickly, and we'll go over to the velocity view and see that most of those cells remain fairly weak at this time. No strong indication of rotation. Here's a live look at the radar as of 8:45 p.m. Mostly just rain happening right now across parts of the region. And there have been a few tornado warnings. There actually was a tornado warning a bit earlier for Slidell, Louisiana. The core of Francine going to continue to move through New Orleans and ultimately cross Lake Pontchartrain and enter areas near Slidell over the next hour. The tornado risk locally across South Alabama and Northwest Florida likely to ramp up as we get into the overnight hours. I'll have plenty of updates posted in the Red Zone Weather app, and of course, as always, if tornado warnings are required for our local area, we'll go live on Facebook and YouTube to bring you the very latest. Hope you have a nice Wednesday evening, and please stay safe.
Be sure to find us across social media, and don't forget to download the free Red Zone Weather app and set up your customized alerts. Please support our Red Zone Weather sponsors who make our coverage possible every single day.